As both turned to leave, they found a strange figure with razor-sharp teeth and white feathers covering his arms under a dark cloak. The stranger's left knee was bleeding beneath a bandage. "You're both in danger," he said before slumping heavily against the doorframe. "The Admiral is chasing me, and if he finds you, he'll try to sample you." In response to what he was saying, a loud roar echoed from down the hall. They had just run. Shiguma darted forward to help the injured being. Pushing him back into the hall, she motioned for Brave to follow her. "We have to leave then," she said before picking him up. Excelsior was quick to follow and shut the door behind her. To her surprise, it seemed to lock, then brighten with returned color. Not bothering to turn to see if Brave intended to follow, Shiguma began taking great strides in the opposite direction they had taken to reach the first attunement lock. "We need to reach the next lock," Brave said, watching Shiguma nod. "At the next junction, we should take a right. However, when the three arrived, the tall draconian sprinted to the left. "Do what you have to," Shiguma cried. "If the Admiral's who I think he's going to follow this guy's scent, you stand a good chance of finishing the Professor's tasks without trouble at your heels." Saying nothing more, the winged heroic burst away at an astounding rate of speed. Not hesitating a moment longer, Brave dashed to the right, heeding her own instructions. In a matter of moments, she was outside the open doorway of another room containing another lock in which she needed to place one of the rods, or keys as the professor had called them. Taking one from her satchel, she placed it and waited for it to activate. Within a handful of moments, it turned yellow, causing color to flood the room. Bolting out the door, she noted that she would have to head back to the junction in order to quickly gain access to the last lock. However, standing before her was an imposing figure covered in heavy robes and a hood. A large sword was pointing directly at her. "You," he said in a commanding voice. "You are a Havanu. I have only ever smelled your kind from a distance. Quite fast, a trait I lack. Make this quick. Stay right there." There were 3 corridors in total leading away from the door that was now sealed behind her. Turning to her right, Brave sprinted away from the tall figure she assumed was the Admiral, which Shiguma had been reluctant to confront. He had mentioned he knew of Havanu being swift, but it seemed doubtful he understood who exactly he had chosen to confront. It was that thought that made her decision, as the map she had memorized showcased an obstacle-strewn path ahead. Excelsior had spent years training to hurdle just such a course. "Fool!" she heard their pursuer laugh as he said it. "The path is full of hazards. It will slow you down. Your breathing will escape you. You will tire. I will catch you and take what I desire. Oh, the pathetic air had no clue. Those trapped in here with me will be sampled and discarded. Make things easy. Give in." A smirk spread across Brave's face as the ears atop her head twitched, warning her of the upcoming gale blast from the ventilation system. The mirror realm of the Hollow seemed to be coming back to life. Before, as she and Shiguma had rushed about, things seemed still. Not dead, but also devoid of life. As she darted to the side to avoid the blast from the cooling vents, she sprinted hard to pace along the opposite wall so the blowback from the gust would not completely halt her progress. Several strides later, she found herself past the section. Ahead would be a long corridor that led to a maintenance section where technicians worked round the clock to keep the technological city of Avalon in pristine shape. Behind her, she heard her pursuit roar as he tried to move past the heavy gusts of air that allowed for no section of the city to be immersed in stagnant air. The tunnel she found herself in was illuminated by bright lights from above and at ground level, allowing her to easily see everything as it popped into her visual spectrum. There were many of her people who were able to quickly extract information in an environment, but Brave was also able to pivot, plan, and execute anything pertaining to her surroundings as fast as she moved through them. Loose objects were truly the only random elements of the equations, as it was hard to determine where they might lay behind larger objects. That was the reasoning behind her participating in the races of Morn as a wrangler, and gave her every opportunity to learn to adapt to obstacles she might never have thought to be even hazards in her additional role as a heroic. Dashing ahead, she used one foot to launch herself at a series of pipes jutting out from the ceiling. Grabbing each, she swung time and again until she was upon a set of cylinders, pumping at odd angles out of the walls. Her mind had already calculated each movement, allowing her to easily curve, shift, and dive until she was beyond to the trickiest part of the mechanical maze: automated repair arms. These were literal power tools on mobile extensions directed by technicians in the real world. Being a now active mirror, the Hollow was imitating what was happening in the reality Brave needed desperately to return. Again, her sharp mind tried to calculate through the weaving drills, claws, and welding tools. There were a lot of variables, but she dared not slow for fear that the Admiral might catch her. One miscalculation, though, would end her almost as certainly as her pursuer. And with that, I will see you all in the near future, and thank you for listening.